You're listening to the Catholic Lunch Break, where we catch up on everything Catholic in Houston. My name is Tim Mott, and man, this is going to be a fun show today. We have a ton of great guests. Stick with us. October is the month of the Rosary, and so we're going to be talking with Father Stephen Reynolds from St. Elizabeth Ann Seton for our Smells and Bells segment, and how the Rosary kind of, works into our liturgy. We're also going to be talking to the president of the newest Catholic high school in Houston, enriching our educational environment here and having a little bit of a different mission and vision for how we evangelize through Catholic education, and also Deacon Sunday, the first ever Deacon Sunday, if I understand this correctly, from Vocation Ministry. That's going to be coming up very shortly here on the show. So we're catching up with everything Catholic in Houston. So I get to be the general manager of this radio station, and I thank you very much for taking part of your lunch break to join us. David Magallanes, the administrative manager for GRN. Our job is mostly not radio here. David and I, we only do 1 hour a week on the air, and it's the most fun hour each week. Would you say so, David?
It is. It's a great time to be on with everybody. Get to talk everything Catholic in Houston. That's awesome.
Much more fun than the paperwork.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
We do a lot of paperwork.
We do a lot of phone calls, paperwork, all that good stuff. But it's all good, though.
It's all good. And events, too. I mean, we got a ton of events to talk about, but Carol is out today because she is celebrating her birthday with family. So our super volunteer who runs the video is out today. But
did she fill out a vacation request? I don't remember seeing that.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
She got the insight. It went through HR for that.
Okay, good.
Volunteer management? I don't know.
I don't know.
So do you have a birthday sound effect for her?
I do not.
Well, that's because you're doing all that paperwork. You got to get some radio stuff in here.
I'll add that to the list.
Okay, add that to the list. So happy birthday, Carol, wherever you are right now. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the Fishers of Men dinner. Mm-hmm. But don't worry, the video is still available at Facebook or YouTube or Twitter. GRN Online is the username that you want to look for there. GRN Online on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. And our volunteer interns are from Cristo Rey, Jesus, and Valeria. They are running the video, so you are in good hands today. Let's go ahead and say our opening prayer like we always do, and then we'll catch up with the news and upcoming events here. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen.
Amen.
Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thine intercession was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly unto thee, O Virgin of Virgins, my mother. To thee do I come, before thee I stand, sinful and sorrowful. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise not my petitions, but in thy mercy hear and answer me. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so if you were listening to the radio last Saturday, you would have heard David and I having a ton of fun at the St. Edith Stein Parish Festival. Actually, their Founders Day Festival is what they call it. St. Edith Stein Catholic Church there on Fry Road in the east part of Katy. This October, we have broadcast, I think, almost every single weekend.
I know.
Isn't that incredible?
Well, it's good. I'm glad to see people are going out. We're planning our festivals,
We've
outdoors.
even received more requests for broadcasts than we can accommodate. So, there's more festivals happening on any given Saturday in October.
I was going to add an 8th day, but I said, no, better not. That's God's work. So,
that is God's work, yes.
But did you mention the two things, the two new things that we did at the Founders Festival?
Okay.
Did you mention that?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
So right next to us was a Catholic kissing booth.
I like that. Where'd you put that?
I always look for something unique at each festival. I mean, you always get the ethnic food, you always get the bounce houses, and sometimes the dunk tanks. Live music. That's great, and everybody has something unique. But this one I'd never seen before was a Catholic kissing booth. It's a marriage enrichment apostolate, the Totus Tuus there at St. Edith Stein. They had a ton of fun taking pictures. You had to be an engaged couple or a married couple or boyfriend, girlfriend to come over and get your picture taken.
And what
there.
was one of the common questions? Is this where we kiss the Father?
No, not that kind of kissing booth.
No.
Anyway, so if you have a parish festival coming up, let us know about it, and especially if you have something unique that's not at any of the other parish festivals, let us know about it. You can post it in our Facebook group, GRN Online. Just go on in there, post it. You don't have to ask permission, and maybe, who knows, not this year, but maybe in a future year, we could come and broadcast from your parish. So this coming Sunday, we're going to be at two of them. David, we're going to split up.
Yep.
And we only have one broadcast piece of equipment, so you're going to be doing it through a special device that we got for your cell phone.
Wow. Okay. We'll
I
see.
think you can do this.
All right, technology. Let's go.
Technology is great.
All right.
It's amazing because you used to have a huge van with a satellite dish on top to be able to do a broadcast.
Wow.
Now we can do it through the cell phone with a special adapter for the microphone. It's amazing.
Of course.
So you're going to be at St. Edward in Spring this coming Sunday.
Correct.
That is a great church there,
Yes.
Father Christian Bowie. And I will be at Holy Family in Missouri City on the other side of town.
First time.
Yeah, with Father Sonny. And that's our first time at Holy Family. So I definitely wanted to make an effort to get out there. It's going to be a ton of fun.
Yes. Looking forward to it.
Yes, absolutely. Also, congratulations to everyone on our email list who participated in that movie ticket giveaway last week.
Phew.
Yeah, that was fun. You had some fun giving away
Yeah, thanks for the
tickets,
patience.
right?
Thanks for your patience. Had to process a lot of things and a lot of moving parts in this. So
that Mother Teresa movie is, I believe it's today, right?
Today and tomorrow.
When it opens, today and tomorrow.
Yes.
So enjoy that and let us know how it goes. Again, post it in the Facebook group there. And hope that you come away more inspired by Mother Teresa's love for Jesus. The big thing in our world right now, is the Fishers of Men Gala dinner tomorrow night. This is the big dinner that we do each year to support the ministry, to support Guadalupe Radio Network in Houston. And wow, it's a lot of work, putting these galas together. But it is so rewarding to see many people coming together, enjoying a meal, and listening to an inspiring speaker. We've got Cardinal Dinardo as our speaker this year. I am super excited about that.
Wow.
I believe this is the first time he's actually come and spoken at one of our events.
All right.
Like we've given him the Fishers of Men Award in the past. Matter of fact, I think he was the first recipient. But that was 2015, so at least 7 years ago.
Wow, awesome.
Yeah, and so this is the first time he actually is going to speak at our event, and I'm really excited about that. And Father McNeely, the Vocations Director, is going to receive the Fishers of Men Award. So
yes.
Please, if you can't come tomorrow, then say a prayer for us and keep us lifted up before God, because He's the one that provides the fruit of this ministry. We're here to save souls. We're here to spread the gospel. We're here to build up the church, and we can't do it of our own accord. It's all through the power of God, and He moves you and everyone else to support this ministry to do that. So thank you for that. Keep us in your prayers. David, before we get into our first interview, is there a sports report from our Catholic high schools?
Yes, there is, Tim. So, hey, Dave, the sports guy here, rolling out your Catholic high school sports report for the Houston area. So let's start with boys football. St. Thomas Eagles crush Kincaid Falcons. Straight Jesuit Fighting Crusaders won a close one against Alvin Yellow Jackets. Frassati Falcons lost to Kip. Sunnyside and O'Connell Buccaneers lost to Divine Savior Academy. And now for girls volleyball. Incarnate Word Academy Falcons lost to Concordian Lutheran Crusaders. St. John, the 23rd Lions, won against Emery Weiner. Frassati Falcons lost to Fort Bend Christian Eagles. And that's a wrap of this week's high school sports report for the week of September 26. Keep your radio tuned to AM 1430 for next week's recap of Houston's Catholic sports. And now back to you, Tim.
Perfect timing on the music there. You're getting better at that.
Whew, man.
That was great. Okay, so I'd like to welcome to the Catholic Lunch Break now Rhonda Gruenwald, the founder of Vocation Ministry, one of the great Catholic ministries that we like to catch up with here on the Catholic Lunch Break. Rhonda, welcome back.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hey, it's good to have you here, joining us by Zoom. I can tell by the lovely acoustic there. Is that your home?
Yes.
Wonderful.
My home office, which is the Office of Vocation Ministry.
The Office of Vocation Ministry. You know how to. You're a working woman. So tell us, what is new with Vocation Ministry?
Well, we excitedly have just launched at Deacon Sunday, and the whole purpose of that was to have to affirm our deacons, because we know that they are working so hard every day in our Catholic parishes, and there was nothing in the Catholic calendar to do that.
Wait.
Uplift them.
There was
nothing
about deacons in the Catholic calendar.
No.
So okay, wait, we're thinking deacons. That's not vocations, right? How is deacons vocations?
Well, the diaconate vocation is a call within a call, because 90% of them are married. So it's when we're talking about vocations, it's the priesthood, religious life, and sacramental marriage. So the diaconate falls under marriage, but still, it is a call, and we felt like this should be a day that's in the Catholic calendar, and an opportunity for parishioners to say thank you to their deacons.
Yeah, I was setting you up with a soft one there because, of course, deacons are, it's a calling. Deacons are ordained just like priests are. And I believe, if I understand this right, every priest is also first ordained a deacon as well, right?
Yes, but this one is specifically for the permanent diaconate,
The,
but
the married
you know,
deacons,
if
yes.
transitional deacons, we can say thank you to them too. That's a good idea.
So how are you
So
how are you celebrating Deacon Sunday?
well, it varies from parish to parish. Some are having a reception for their deacons. Some are giving them spiritual bouquets. Some are just making an announcement at Mass to say thank you to Deacon Sam on their way out after Mass. So being this is the first one, we know it's being celebrated in every diocese because we've been all over, and we know that all of our resources are all over. But we hope that dioceses and parishes will be creative on how they say thank you to their deacons.
Yeah, I really like that. Even just taking a moment to bring attention to it, that's a celebration right there. And so the more that they can do with, like you said, the spiritual bouquets or a reception, that makes it even better. Do you have any favorite deacons in your work or life that have meant a lot to you?
Well, I think that there's no way that a Catholic that has been a part of any parish life extensively could not have some deacons that have really made a difference. My RCIA, when I was becoming Catholic in 1999, was run by a deacon,
Mm-hmm.
Deacon Al at Prince of Peace. And you know, they're such a part of parish life that's why I think this is so crucial for us to do. And not only does it affirm those who are already deacons, it brings awareness to this call. And hopefully there will be men at the parish who say, maybe I'm called to this because of the fact that we're bringing awareness to the diaconate in this way.
May it be. May God grant more deacons and more people to work in his vineyard. So how can our listeners actually learn more about this and use that creativity that they have? What would you recommend that they do?
Well, they can go to vocationministry.com right now and go under events, and they'll find Deacon Sunday. We already have deacon thank you cards already they can buy, and I could get into them by the end of the week, especially in Houston. We've got a prayer card for deacons that are already packaged in packages of 50 cards. So, and then we've got resources. We've got prayers of the faithful. We've got a mass announcement, bulletin blurbs. All the things are already there.
Oh, wow. So it's like plug and play. You just get the kit and there you go. All the material you need to celebrate
Exactly.
Deacon Sunday. Why did
Yes.
you pick the second Sunday in October?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, I would have loved to have done St. Stephen or St. Lawrence, but December and August are not good times for promotion of anything in a parish to have a reception. And so we thought actually 2 weeks after Priesthood Sunday was a good fit because we can do, priesthood and then diaconate.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's an excellent tie-in. So every year on the second Sunday of October, and how are you promoting this in dioceses all over?
Well, we're doing a PR campaign, so we're talking with people on Catholic radio and many different dioceses, and we've had articles written about the initiative in Alatea and other places. So we're doing our part to get the word out, and we've got about 8,000 collaborators all over the United States as well that I've spoken in front of. So we put it to them as well to do in their parishes. Well,
thank you very much, Rhonda, for coming and telling us about Deacon Sunday coming up this October 9th. Everyone say a prayer for your deacon, pray for Vocation Ministries as well. And I am immensely grateful for so many men who have given of their lives, even in their vocation of marriage, also becoming deacons in that vocation as well. So, Rhonda, we'll talk again, so don't be a stranger.
All right. God bless you.
Okay. God bless you too. David, it does seem like October here does get really, really busy.
It does.
We were just talking about all of the parish festivals. And like Rhonda was saying, August and December, those are not the places where you want to be promoting things. So everyone's putting it in October here.
I know.
I love it, though. I love it.
It's great.
There is more than to catch up in Houston than we can even talk about on this one show. So I do encourage everyone to sign up for our email list at grnonline.com and to go to our Facebook group, GRN Houston, And this is where we bring all this together so that the stuff that doesn't fit into the show, we can put there.
Yes.
And get it into your lives.
Yes.
So when we come back, we're going to be doing our liturgical smells and bells segment with Father Stephen Reynolds. I am so excited to bring him back here. We actually missed last month, but that means we have twice as much to catch up on now.
That's
so
true.
Stick around with us on the Catholic Lunch Break on AM 1430, part of the Guadalupe Radio Network. We'll be back right after this.
Southeast Houston Cardiology is a proud sponsor of your Catholic radio station, and the doctor is in. Southeast Houston Cardiology has been serving patients with heart disease and vascular disease with up-to-date, compassionate, and comprehensive care for more than 20 years. Southeast Houston Cardiology has 2 locations, Webster and Pasadena. You can contact them online at southeasthoustancardiology.com or 281-338-4004.
Please save the date for Christ the Good Shepherd's Fall Festival on Saturday, October 15th. Hi, this is Brenda, Committee Chair for the Fall Festival, and I'm looking for volunteers, sponsors, and both live and silent auction items for this fun-filled family event. Come support this North Houston community and have a great time. For more information, go to our parish website, cgsccdogh.org, or call the office at 281-376-6831.
Hi, I'm Claudia Garza. I am an insurance agent with Farmers Insurance, serving West Houston and Katy. And I am a proud sponsor of this Guadalupe Radio Network station. Catholic radio is truly food for my soul. I sponsor 1430 AM because I want to help evangelize. You can reach me at my office, 713-780-4841, 713-780-4841.
Get ready and mark your calendars. The Parenting and Pregnancy Support Center of Galveston County would like for you to join them for a gala on October 6, 2022 from 6 to 9 p.m. It will be held at the Marquee at the Mainland in Texas City. The keynote speaker will be Rex Moses, pro-life activist, and the honoree is Leslie Karam. For more information, call 409-945-2888.
The bells! The bells! The bells are back for the Smells and Bells segment where we explain the liturgy. Well, not me. I don't explain the liturgy. Father Stephen Reynolds explains the liturgy here on the Catholic Lunch Break, where we catch up on everything Catholic in Houston. Coming up later in the show, we'll be talking with Zachary Allen, the president of Cathedral High School, the newest Catholic high school in Houston. But right now, we have Father Reynolds, pastor of St. Elizabeth Ann Seton. Welcome back to the Catholic Lunch Break.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Great to have you here. So what did you think about that Deacon Sunday that we were just talking about with Rhonda Gruenwald?
Well, I think most pastors will readily admit that the permanent deacons in their parishes make an invaluable contribution to parish life. They work really hard.
And what's been
as do their families, who have to make sacrifices as well.
Absolutely. Do you have a good experience with deacons working as a priest?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So you're the driving the bus now. You're the one in charge of this segment. What are we talking about? I know we actually missed last month. I'm so sorry about that. But like I said, there's so much to fit in 1 hour a week here. But tell me about your church. How are things going at St. Elizabeth Ann Seton? And then what do you want to talk about the liturgy this month?
Well, things are going very well. We're in the midst of school having started and CC up and running and all those other things like in any other parish. So pretty busy. We're in the middle of a priest transition. One of our assistant priests has gone off to a new assignment. Another one is arriving today to take his place. So a lot going on.
Priests get to move around a lot.
We don't get to.
You're told
to.
You go
it's part of the life.
Sense, yeah.
It's part of the life we signed up for. And years ago, I served on the priest personnel board, which are priests who are elected by other priests to advise the cardinal about priest assignments. And it works very well, I think, for the most part. And it's always a challenge because there are never enough people to fill in all the places where you'd like to put them. So it's always a challenge to keep things kind of moving forward, and especially to give the younger priests multiple experiences before they become pastors, which is always helpful to them.
Yeah, you got to balance a lot of things there. Their experience levels and their temperaments, and
Sure.
then the needs
and language. Yeah. Language is a big factor.
Oh yeah, I bet. Wow.
Especially with the capacity to speak Spanish and hear confessions and homilies and whatnot. So I think the system we have works very well, but it does mean that sometimes a priest has to be asked to move to fill in a spot where a need has arisen, and that's part of our life. We understand that.
And that's part of the growing. Like the parish, the parishioners, they experience that loss and that farewell, but that is actually, I'm assuming, or I believe that that'll bring spiritual benefits as well.
I think it does.
Yeah,
certainly.
Yeah. So we were talking about the month of October. It's the month of the Rosary, and it feels like it's a pretty busy month in the Catholic world. Is it also busy for you?
Well, it isn't that busy liturgically because we don't have huge, big feast days. It's busy in every other respect. You were mentioning that we heard several promos about festivals. You were talking about the festivals y'all are visiting over the course of the month. Our parish festival, the Oktoberfest, is the very end of this month on October the 30th, which is a Sunday, if I can put a shameless plug in there.
Yes.
Sunday from 10 in the morning to 10 in the evening. And not only do we have the expected food booths, with various kind of ethnic foods, which are always absolutely delicious. I think they're the best pupusas on the planet. What do you think, David?
I'm with you, Father.
And but in addition to that, we have a lot of other activities for the kids, including camel rides, train rides, and an ice skating performance by two of our parishioners who are professional ice skaters.
Okay, so that's unique.
Okay,
that
Tim,
is unique.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
I don't know. We were already booked on that weekend, aren't we?
We'll figure something out.
We'll figure something out. I remember we broadcasted from there last year, and you guys had a petting zoo that included like kangaroos. It was amazing.
Yeah, there are all sorts of wild beasts that were there. I'm not sure exactly what we had.
We talked to some on the air too.
Maybe so.
That was fun. But October is also the month of the Rosary.
Yes.
So I've got my Rosary here with Saint Benedict crucifix on it and everything. But why do we choose like a theme for each month as a church? Who chooses these?
We know anyone can go online and Google traditional devotion or traditional monthly devotion, and you'll get the list that has come down to us through the centuries. They're often rooted, most often rooted in some major liturgical celebration of that month. And so, for example, because October the 7th is the feast or the memorial of the Holy Rosary, the month of October has traditionally been devoted to that prayer, the devotion of the Rosary. There are other feast days in the month of October. Perhaps the other major one is coming up tomorrow, the memorial of St. Francis of Assisi.
That's why we chose that date for our Fishers of Men.
Yeah. One of the most beloved saints among all Christians, because at the time that he lived, Christianity in the West was still united. He died in 1226. He was only about 44, 45 years old, and very short. And a tremendous example of Christian charity and of a wholehearted love for God. In fact, there's a wonderful custom, two wonderful customs on the memorial of St. Francis. One is the blessing of pets and animals, which can be blessed at any time of the year, but it's often associated with St. Francis for a lot of obvious reasons. And in our school, we'll have a blessing of animals early in the morning, right before school starts, or right as school is starting. We have a barbecue right after. No, that's not true. We won't have that. I've always been kind of tempted.
No, it's a different meaning to blessing your food. I mean,
that's right. Yeah, I'm always tempted to do the prayer before meals, and blessing the animals, but I don't.
Depends on the animal.
I restrain. Well, that's true.
Yeah, some animals
it's
you
hard
don't
to
want
bless.
to eat. Yeah.
Yes, it's hard to ask for that blessing for an iguana, or python, which are sometimes brought to these things.
Now, alligator meat, though, that is good stuff.
That's true. I've had it once. It tastes like chicken,
like a rubbery chicken.
So that's one of the customs associated with the Feast of St. Francis, and the other is eating almond cookies.
Almond cookies?
Well, why not? Number one.
I did, of course, but I don't know.
Well, it is
why.
The legend
specifically.
The legend is that as St. Francis was dying, was on his deathbed, he asked a friend of his who is now a Blessed Jacoba of Sette Soli, to bring him his favorite almond cookies or almond cakes. And so she did, apparently. And on this feast day, which is tomorrow, Franciscans in many places of the world, particularly in Italy, prepare almond cookies or different almond confections and have them on the Feast of St. Francis.
That is great. I mean, that's a great way to celebrate, and it's unique to that day. It is enjoyable, but it's also meaningful.
And it's not so weird that you can't share it with others, because so many of our customs seem kind of strange to those, even to Catholics sometimes. And this is one, someone once said, I've never found this quote, but that C.S. Lewis, I read someone who quoted C.S. Lewis saying that, I wonder if God gets tired of our sacrifices. Sometimes we can just offer him an ice cream cone. Now, I don't know if he actually said that, but that makes perfect sense. That we can offer God the good things too, and not just we should offer him everything. And so we can have a almond cookie and some coffee on the Feast of St. Francis and offer that in thanksgiving to God and rejoice in that a little bit. If St. Francis would be happy that something so simple could bring delight to someone.
I'm going to have to remember that one. Almond cookies.
Yeah.
St. Francis. We've got a statue of St. Francis right out here.
We should take some to the Fishers of Men dinner.
Yeah, let's do that.
That'd be good.
Bring some almond cookies.
And then the day after is the memorial of Saint Faustina Kowalska, who's a very popular saint in many parts of the Western world. It's an optional memorial, but it could be celebrated on the 5th. And, of course, then October the 7th, the big memorial of Our Lady of the Holy Rosary.
Just in case people don't recognize St. Faustina's name, she's the Divine Mercy Lady.
Correct. And there's a parish dedicated to her patronage on the far west side of town. So I'm sure they have some special events planned.
It seems like every day is a special day there at St. Faustina.
Well, it's a lively place. It certainly is. They've got some great priests serving there. But this Feast Day of the Rosary has an interesting story behind it. There are actually two stories. One,
before you get into the story, is the Rosary, does the word Rosary refer to the prayers that we say or to the beads, or both?
Well, it refers to the beads.
Refers to the beads.
I'm sorry. It refers to the whole
thing.
The
prayers and the beads together.
Right.
So if I say a rosary on my fingers, that still counts, right?
It does count.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. And so we have a natural rosary. So if we lose our beads, we always have a means of keeping track of our Aves.
Okay. So October 7th.
Right.
Why is October 7th the Feast of the Rosary?
Well, I'll tell you in a minute, but let me give you the backstory to the Rosary. And that, first of all, it's a devotion, so it's not a liturgical act, but it's part of popular piety. And calling it a devotion kind of doesn't really communicate the force of the weight of that prayer, which is perhaps the most beloved devotion in the life of the Church.
How is a devotion different than a liturgical act?
Well, a liturgy is an official prayer of the Church that is regulated and determined by the various liturgical books.
Oh, okay.
So the Rosary is a custom or an act of piety that is, prayed in many different ways in different parts of the world, and which over history has developed. Of course, the liturgy has as well, but it's simply a devotion, like the way of the cross is a devotion, a way of praying. It's not liturgical. Not all of our prayer is liturgical. Now, we hope that our prayer is rooted in the sacred liturgy, but not all of our prayer is liturgical.
Well, like the prayer I did at the start of the show. I mean,
That's
that was
correct.
just calling out to Mary for help, and we do that every week. I mean,
Right.
that's not liturgical.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
And so these distinctions really are kind of interesting, maybe, but they're, from a practical point of view, they don't mean a whole lot, I don't think, because prayer is good whatever form we encounter it. So the Rosary began, we're not really sure how the very beginnings of the Rosary, it was common among the Desert Fathers in the very early centuries of the Church, 1st and 2nd centuries. Those who lived as hermits in the desert, particularly in Egypt and other parts of the Levant, would use knotted cords to keep track of their prayers.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes they would just say the Jesus prayer over and over again. Or they would say some verse of Scripture, or they would recite the Psalms, of which there are 150. Or they'd say the Lord's Prayer. But it was a way of kind of enumerating or keeping track of their prayer throughout the day. And to help them not get distracted in the middle of their prayer, or at least to contain and direct that distraction. And some think that the Rosary in its present form is somehow connected to the monastic life in Western Europe. Because in monasteries, especially monasteries of men, the monks were divided into two groups. There'd be the choir monks, who would normally be ordained priests, and there'd be the lay monks who had taken vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, as the choir monks did, but they were not ordained. They were brothers, as opposed to priests. So you had the priest monks, you had the brother monks, and the brothers would often be dedicated to the material support of the monastery. They would take care of the flocks, or they would take care of the farming or the brewing of the beer, whatever it might be, to support the monastery. And the choir monks, then the ordained monks, would be dedicated to some of those things, but also to praying the Liturgy of the Hours throughout the day, several times a day, 7 times a day, in choir, chanting the Psalms. And throughout the week, in 1 week, they would chant all 150 Psalms.
Every week?
Every week.
Wow.
From the Psalter. Now, in the current arrangement of the Liturgy of the Hours, we go through the 150 Psalms. Actually, not quite that many, because a couple are excluded, but 150 Psalms in a month, in 4 weeks.
Okay.
But in the older arrangement, it was in 1 week. And so there was...
Well, with the current arrangement, do you priests to pray the Divine Office 6 times a day, or 3 times a day, or how?
Well, I have to count now. 1, 2, 3. There are 5 different hours.
5 different hours. Okay.
Right.
So you get through 150 Psalms in a month.
In a month. Not quite 150.
Close
couple
to
Psalms are left out. And so in order to unite themselves to the prayer of the choir monks, the lay brothers, who might have only recited a couple of the different hours, matins in the morning and vespers in the evening, would, while they were doing their work, recite 150 Our Fathers or 150 Hail Marys. And they would keep track of those, again, on a knotted cord. And over time, those came to be grouped into decades of 10, with an Our Father, 10 Hail Marys, and a Glory Be. And this, developed in different ways in different places. It was really the Dominican order, the order of preachers under St. Dominic, who died in 1221. And of course, Dominic knew St. Francis. They met in Rome in 1216. They were both there, working to have their spirit kind of canonized, if you will, their regulations approved for their two societies. And there's some wonderful stories about how they met and where they met, but they knew each other. And St. Dominic had gathered together this core of men who could be great preachers, especially in southern France, which is where he began, although he is from Spain, because of so many difficulties in the church in the early 13th century in France. So these great preachers and teachers, and they adopted the Rosary as a kind of spiritual weapon to help them in their work, and they promoted the Rosary, and that's pretty much when it took its contemporary form.
So that's the reason we have the 50 Hail Marys, and that lines up with the Psalms.
Well, because in the traditional arrangement of the Rosary, there'd be 15 mysteries of the Rosary. Now, St. John Paul II suggested an additional 5, but those original 15 decades would correspond to 15 Our Fathers, 150 Hail Marys, which are kind of an echo of the 150 Psalms. So there was an attempt to tie that into the liturgy of the church while, being something different.
Well, it evolves organically, and we look to what's at hand to help us pray and to meditate.
That's exactly right. And this is an example of a prayer that did develop over centuries until its current form.
And now we even have parishes named after Holy Rosary.
That's right. And it was 350 years or so after the death of St. Dominic that the only Dominican Pope, I'm not sure he's the only, the first Dominican Pope, Pope St. Pius V, formally established the devotion of the Rosary in its current form.
Okay.
And this is the tie-in to the feast day that we have coming up in October.
And speaking of parish festivals, I happen to know that Holy Rosary has like 3 days of festivities and all kinds of stuff planned. So, I don't know, check out holyrosaryparish.org for that.
There you go. So the feast day of the Holy Rosary was established by the same Pope, Pope St. Pius V, who is Dominican. And by the way, there's a little bit of Catholic trivia for you. It's from Pope St. Pius V that the custom of the popes wearing white developed, because it was most common for bishops to simply wear purple, or in some places green. And green is the heraldic color of the bishop. If you look at the bishop's coat of arms, the galero, the hat crowning the coat of arms, is green. So the green is in heraldry, the color of the bishop. And in some places, the bishops wore green, like a forest green.
So why did he change it to white?
He was a Dominican, and the Dominican's habit is white.
But then all the popes after him just kept that?
Because of the holiness of his life, his successor imitated him, and all those who came after him imitated that as well.
Wow, that's when you know that God's using you.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So in 1572, the Pope St. Pius V, established the Feast of the Holy Rosary. It was called the Feast of Our Lady of Victories, and it's connected to an historic event which took place in 1571 on October the 7th. There was a battle off the western shore of what is now Greece in a bay called Lepanto. And the Battle of Lepanto was the largest naval battle since ancient times. And it was the last major battle fought by rowing boats, not rowboats, but boats with rowers, triremes and galleys. After that, the sail was developed, and it was more common to have sailing vessels than rowing vessels than galleys. So there were 400 vessels between the Ottoman Turks and this coalition of Western Christian armies, or navies, I should say, that was put together, that was under the command of two famous people, Don Juan of Austria, and then the Admiral Andrea Doria from Genoa. And the outcome of that battle was that the Christian armies were victorious, even though they were outnumbered and outgunned, and it marked the beginning of the end of the Ottoman Muslim domination of the Eastern Mediterranean, or the Central Mediterranean.
In 1571.
In 1571. And in preparation for that battle, the Pope had asked the Christian world to pray the Rosary for the victory of these Christian navies. And it is said that on October the 7th, when the battle actually took place, he had a vision of the battle, and that he saw the victory, and that he commanded all the bells in the churches of Rome to be rung. And of course, a few days later, the word reached Rome that this indeed had taken place. And then the next year, he established on this date the Feast of Our Lady of Victories, which later became, within a couple years, the Feast of Our Lady of the Rosary. And an interesting little connection with the Americas is that in the galley, in the cabin of the Admiral Andrea Doria, who was a Genovese admiral, one of the leaders of that battle, had an image of Our Lady of Guadalupe.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
That's, Our Lady of Guadalupe. So I know that she was in 1531.
1531.
So only 40 years earlier.
That's right.
But across the entire Atlantic Ocean.
Right.
Wow.
So it wasn't the image.
No, not the image,
copy.
But a copy of it.
Yes.
It had promulgated that fast into Europe.
Oh, sure.
Wow.
Sure. And that feast day really, it's interesting liturgically, because there's so few liturgical feast days and memorials, and I can't think of another one that are related to historic events that are not biblical.
Right. I mean, we celebrate apparitions like Fatima and Lourdes and Guadalupe, of course.
Yes, but that involves a biblical person.
That's true.
The Blessed Mother.
That's true. Okay, so the Holy Rosary, Our Lady of Victories, the Battle of Lepanto, coming up this weekend.
Almost the 7th, which is,
I think it's Friday, right?
Friday, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Incredible. So the association of the Rosary with Our Lady. So it came from the Psalms, like you said, the daily office, yes. And then kind of shortening that. But because it was Hail Marys, then is that how it became associated with Our Lady?
Well, remember, the Hail Mary is a biblical prayer.
Yes.
And there are three parts to the Hail Mary. And the first part is the Angelic Salutation, the words of Gabriel to Mary. And the second part are the words of Elizabeth to Mary, and those are both found in the Gospel of St. Luke. And the third part is a petition of the Church, Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, etc. And again, we're not really sure when this prayer developed and took its current form. sometime in the early Middle Ages for sure. And it's a perfectly logical thing for a Christian to invoke the aid of the Mother of God, because for two reasons. One, a Christian seeks, among many other things, a Christian seeks to imitate Christ. And Christ, who was and remains a Jew, obeyed completely the Ten Commandments. I don't think anyone can dispute that.
Right.
And the fourth commandment is honor your father and your mother. So the Lord continues to obey that commandment in his human nature in heaven. And so if he's honoring his mother, and if he's not honoring his mother, he's not obeying the commandments, which is impossible. So if he's honoring his mother and we imitate Jesus, at least we try to, then shouldn't we also honor his mother as well as our own?
Wow.
So it makes perfect sense, really. And any Catholic with the proper Marian devotion would tell you that Mary is never an obstacle to Christ. She's always pointing the way.
The fastest way to get to Jesus is through Mary.
Well, I wouldn't want to quantify these things, but it's the most strategic way for sure.
There you go.
because she is the one who's closest to him.
And that's like the spirituality
Outside of the Father
Saint
and the Spirit,
Therese. We just celebrated Saint Therese's feast day, yesterday, I believe.
October 1st.
Right.
Which was Saturday.
And so, yeah, that was her whole thing, was let God do the work for you.
One of my favorite prayers is, Lord, please make it easy.
Lord, please make it easy. Jesus, I trust in you.
Right.
Well, Father Reynolds, I could keep talking about this. I've got so much more to ask you about, like altar servers and priest clothing and like daily masses and all these kinds of things that we want to cover on Smells and Bells. But I'm so glad that we took this time to talk about the Rosary in the month of the Rosary here. And I encourage people to pray the Rosary as well. Is there any final word that you want to offer before we leave this Smells and Bells segment?
Well, with regard to the Rosary, don't overlook the fact the Church has richly indulgenced this devotion. So there are many indulgences that apply to the Rosary. An indulgence is a participation in the spiritual goods of Christ and of the saints. And a plenary indulgence is always available, not just in October, but any day when someone recites the Rosary publicly, which means to say with other people in a church or in a family or in their religious community, and then meditates upon the mysteries, announces them and meditates upon them. And so every day a person can be drawn to that prayer, and the Church, in granting those indulgences, is encouraging us, to incorporate the Rosary more and more into our life.
It's a powerful, powerful thing, and we do broadcast the Rosary every evening here on AM 1430, so I encourage you to listen to that as well, listeners. Father Reynolds, thank you very much, pastor of St. Elizabeth Ann Seton. We'll have you back again next month for more of Smells and Bells.
Great, looking forward to it.
Okay, and when we come back here on the Catholic Lunch Break, we're going to be talking with Zachary Allen, who is the president of Cathedral High School, the brand new Catholic high school here in Houston. Learn all about what their mission and vision is, how that is different, and how it can improve your child's life here on the Guadalupe Radio Network, AM 1430.
Hi, I'm Joel Matthews, business owner and partner with TRO CPA. I'm a proud sponsor of this Guadalupe Radio Network station, and I think you should be too. As Catholics, I believe we should put our money where our faith is. And as a CPA, I help small business owners make wise decisions about their money every day. You can find out more about what I do and why I sponsor KSHJ by going to my website, trocpa.com. That's trocpa.com.
Are you ready for fall? Yes, fall is in the air, so let's fall into fall with Holy Family Catholic Church in Missouri City as they celebrate their Fall Festival. It will be held on October 9th from 10:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., and you don't want to miss this event. There will be a raffle, food, silent auction, games, rides, music, and the best part, Tim Mott with 1430 AM Catholic Radio will be doing a live remote at the festival. Hope to see you there.
KSHJ is sponsored by the Knights of Columbus Rangel Agency. For over 130 years, the primary mission of the Knights of Columbus has been to provide financial security to their members and their families, offering life insurance, long-term care insurance, disability income insurance, and annuity products. The Knights of Columbus are your shield for life. To learn more, find your agent, or discuss agent career opportunities in the Southeast Texas area, please contact General Agent Tony Rangel at 281-931-9100.
At Cathedral High School, our faculty and students are building Catholic culture through a classical education in truth, goodness, and beauty to form students who will know, love, and serve Christ while pursuing truth. Our founding students are already praying daily at Mass, creating music and art which enriches the soul, and grappling with mankind's most important thoughts. And we are looking forward to welcoming new freshmen and sophomore students in 2023. Find us at cathedralhouston.org, Facebook, or Instagram. Cor ad cor locutor. Heart speaks to heart. At Cathedral.
Hey, this is the Catholic Lunch Break. You're listening to AM 1430 on the Guadalupe Radio Network. My name is Tim, and we're catching up with everything Catholic in Houston. Just like you heard in that last little spot there, the Cathedral High School is the new thing. It is the brand new Catholic high school here in Houston, connected with the personal ordinariate of the Chair of St. Peter at Our Lady of Walsingham. And joining us right now is the man himself, the Zachary Allen, who is the president of Cathedral High School. Zach, welcome to the Catholic Lunch Break.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. It's very nice to be here.
It's always good to have a new face here, and so I want to let our listeners get to know you and get to hear your voice a little bit. So tell me, what's your background? Are you married? Do you have kids? Did you grow up Catholic? All that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So, yes, I am married. I have 2 daughters. Have a little girl due in December as well, so I'll have 3, hopefully by the time we enter the next year. We lost a little boy last year, so we have 4 total. Mm-hmm. We are blessed to be here in Houston. I grew up actually Methodist, converted to the Catholic Church in 2014 after going through RCA in Lufkin, Texas, which is where me and my wife are both from. After joining the Catholic Church, we kind of dove all in, and we were doing all sorts of volunteering at the parish because we were young, we were married, and we didn't have kids, and so we were readily available. So we were teaching Sunday school, helping with RCA, doing youth group and everything. And while that was going on, I was teaching and coaching in public schools. I didn't know anything about Catholic education growing up. I wasn't Catholic.
All right, you weren't even Catholic.
Yeah, and so anyways, after a few years of that, I was an assistant principal in public school, and I was reached out to by Father Hank Lanick, who was the president of Bishop Gorman and Tyler at the time, Bishop Gorman Catholic School. And so they interviewed me for a principal's position there. So my family moved to Tyler. We were there for a few years, discerned to move into full-time ministry, which is what we moved to Houston for. So we jumped to spring. We were doing full-time youth and young adult ministry the last year at St. Ignatius in spring. So we were working with 6th graders up to 39-year-olds. Once you turn 40, you're no longer a young adult according to
I aged out this year, so, you know.
according to the bulletin insert. And so then while we were here in Houston, I was kind of notified about Cathedral High School being built. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about the personal ordinariate.
Yeah, you didn't have any connection to the ordinariate. Okay.
No, I didn't. I heard about the school was being opened, heard that they were looking for a president, and I had done this role in Tyler. We had the president-principal model kind of molded into one while I was there, so I kind of got the experience with how that worked. And so I read up on Cathedral High School, read about the mission, read about the vision, decided to apply for it, went through the interview process, met Bishop Lopes, really talked a lot about what the school was doing and what the hopes and dreams were. And so really is exactly what I was looking for. And so kind of through praying about it, I really felt like maybe this is the reason we had been drawn to Houston in the first place.
It's always like God prepares a path for you, but you don't know what the end of it is.
Right, yeah. And my confirmation saint was St. Peter. So when this ended up being part of the ordinary of the Chair of St. Peter, I was...
it's a sign.
Blown away.
It's a sign. Well, I like what you mentioned there about Bishop Lopes talking with you about what this school's trying to do. Mm-hmm. So how is Cathedral High School different? It's not going to be like a typical Catholic high school. How is it different?
Yeah, thank you. So we are a classical school. So we're a Catholic school first in the classical model. We use classical education, which basically for people that don't know what that means, it really means that we put an emphasis on communication, the way what I see from the teachers to the students, from the students to each other, and back to the teachers. We really remove what I would call the obstacles, which a lot of times come in the form of technology, which are huge bonuses, but we really see technology as an add-on, not a a necessity. And so very rarely do we utilize technology in the classroom unless it's absolutely necessary for the lesson. I think what really sets us apart, though, is because of the really focus on creating this school for a very particular purpose. We start every day with a Mass at 8 o'clock, and so our students get to school at 7:45.
Every day, not just once a week.
No, every day.
Yeah.
Every single school day. And so 7:45, do an opening prayer as a school, kind of walk through what we've lined out as goals for our school through a recitatio as the group. And then we move into Mass at 8, and so we celebrate Mass every day. Every week we have 4 different priests that come through and celebrate Mass with us, and then Bishop Loos comes in once a month to celebrate with our students and our faculty. And then from Mass there, we move into the rest of our school day. And so really, I think that sets the tone for, what we're there for. I mean, our students take turns each day. They serve on the altar, they lecture, they serve in the choir, and they rotate. And so right now we have 19 students. And as that grows, we just have freshmen this year. Next year we'll have freshmen and sophomores. But those 19 students all get a chance to participate in the different functions within the Mass. And so
these 19 are going to be the immortals. They're going to be like the first ones, and every student that comes after them is going to look up and say, he was the first.
Yeah, so
she was the first, yeah.
Yeah, I think the overall attitude for the school is just one of gratitude, thankful to God for kind of giving Bishop Loos the drive to get this going. Thankful to the Dominican Sisters of Mary, Our Lady of the Eucharist, or of Mary, Mother of the Eucharist, who were very instrumental in the last 4 or 5 years of getting the school up and running. Thankful to our staff that all left prior established schools to jump into a brand new endeavor. Thankful to everybody that really prayed about and jumped into this opportunity, and especially to our families and our students for going with this vision. Because right now we're in the chancery. We have 2 classrooms where we're rotating through. We have a brand new building, thank the Lord, that will be ready within the month we'll be moving into. But, for the families to start with us as freshmen when they had many other options, that they could have gone with well-established schools, I think it shows a trust in the process of what was trying to be created. And so far, I mean, our students are phenomenal. Our teachers are phenomenal. But
So you said that you didn't have any connection with the Ordinariate of the Chair of St. Peter before. So when you heard about this vision for the Catholic school, what was it that was most exciting to you about that? What was it that really kind of grabbed your heart and your mind?
Yeah, great question. So when I went to the website and then subsequently through the interview process with the questions I was asking, really the reason I kind of went from a public school education, working in public schools, to working in Catholic schools. And I guess the Lord was putting on my heart just a real desire to draw people to Him first. And I felt like in certain times schools can become a school that maybe is Catholic, or at least we have crucifixes, around the building.
Yeah.
But when I really read through this mission and the vision, it does appear, right, that what we're trying to do is a Catholic school that's Catholic first and does everything else to build off of that.
I see.
And so I think, with our students, the goal is that when they graduate, our motto, of course, coming from St. John Henry Newman of Cor Loquitur, which you just heard on the ad, very well timed right before we started, the heart speaks to heart. And so our hope is that our students, through going to Mass every day as a community, I was just working on some things last week, and so this freshman class and then subsequently every freshman class will go through 4 years of going to Mass every day with their classmates, which will be 720 school Masses with peers their age that they attend Mass with daily.
That much prayer has to make a difference.
Right, and so
sacramentally, of course. I was going to ask, what is a sacramental worldview, and how does this fit in with classical education and the Eucharist being right there with the students? That makes a huge difference.
Right. So our hope, right, the goal is that they encounter Jesus every single day at school, and so through learning to talk to Him and understand His voice in their life, our hope is, in our prayer, that by the time they graduate, they really feel like they're following His call for their life and not just what they've picked up as something that they might want to do. So whatever career choice they're leaning toward, we really hope there's a career choice or a vocation that they're feeling called to. And so as I was working on some things last week for vocation awareness, with the priesthood, with the religious life, with holy marriages, we want students thinking about that now, because when they get out of high school, there's so many other things going on as well. If they've spent 4 years really praying about these decisions with their families, then by the time they jump into whatever's next, they can feel confident that it's the direction that the Lord's calling them, and not just they had to make a decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so anyways, another thing that we do different is that we don't have cell phones at our school at all. So students don't have cell phones from the time they come. And so one thing I like to remember is that our kids encounter Jesus every day, but they don't encounter social media ever at school.
Right.
Which
how do you regulate that? That's got to be pretty hard.
Yeah, well, so far it's pretty easy with only 19. But as we grow, basically everybody's on the same page, though. I mean, I think parents are clear on what we're doing and why we're here. So when students come, if they need to have a cell phone for after school, which many times that is the case, if they're going somewhere else or if they have a job after school, then what they do is they just bring it to the front office and we hold it for them until the day is over.
Just check it in, check it out. Okay.
Yeah, so obviously, just like every other school, if parents need their kids, we're there in the office. We can answer the phone and go grab them and they can talk. But it keeps that communication open. And so what I've noticed is a huge difference is at lunch, we have all 19 of our kids whose eyes are up, looking at other students, having verbal conversations with each other and with adults who care about them versus, walking into a cafeteria where all the kids are looking at their phone and they're laughing and showing their screens to each other, but the actual communication is very small.
Yeah.
And so when kids graduate a lot of times from high school, they've gone through 4 years of being on their phone at lunch. So they go to college, what are they going to do? They're going to go to the cafeteria at college, and they're going to be on their phone.
Wait, so what you're saying is that you're turning them into real humans.
That's the hope.
Oh,
right?
my
That's
goodness, man. Yeah, what an idea. What an idea.
Yeah.
So we're actually coming up on the end of the show here, but I want to be sure and get in. Are you accepting new students right now?
Yeah, so we're open for enrollment right now.
Do they have to be Catholic?
They don't have to be Catholic.
Okay.
No, we're open to anyone, but we are definitely a Catholic school. I think, daily Mass offers us an opportunity for everybody to really get in touch with what we're doing. So I think it's just important for everybody to know very clearly what we do. While we're open to anyone, it's important to know that it's not like you can come and check out. Everybody's there to join in together.
Well, the website is cathedralhouston.org, cathedralhouston.org, and Zach Allen, president of Cathedral High School. Thank you very much for joining us on the Catholic Lunch Break.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. David, we've had a great show today with Father Reynolds and with Zach, and of course with Rhonda Gruenwald from Vocation Ministry earlier. This is why we do it. This is how we catch up on everything Catholic in Houston, and this is why we do radio, because now we have connected you, the listeners, with all of these wonderful ministries and educated you as well, and you are part of the body of Christ. We're helping to be the ears and the voice of the body of Christ right here on the Guadalupe Radio Network. Please say a rosary for us on this month of the Rosary, and say especially a prayer for the Fishers of Men banquet tomorrow. Keep listening, and next week we're going to have some more great guests to talk about. Post anything that we didn't talk about in our Facebook group. And until next time, stay Catholic, Houston. May God richly bless you.